For decades, the breakfast cereal aisle has been a battlefield of marketing. Brightly colored boxes promise heart health, whole grains, and essential vitamins, positioning these processed grains as the cornerstone of a balanced morning. However, as we move through 2026, a series of comprehensive studies from the Pesticide Action Network, PAN, and the Environmental Working Group, EWG, have pulled back the curtain on a disturbing reality. Many of these healthy options are delivery systems for toxic chemicals. The primary culprit in 2026 is no longer just glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. While glyphosate remains a concern, the spotlight has shifted toward trifluoroacetic acid, TFA, a forever chemical byproduct of PFAS pesticides, and chlormequat, a plant growth regulator linked to reproductive issues. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. Here are the 8 cereal brands and categories currently under fire for high pesticide residues, organized by their impact and prevalence in the 2026 market. 1. Quaker Oats, various varieties. The hazard: extremely high levels of chlormequat and glyphosate. Quaker has long been the gold standard for wholesome oats, but recent 2026 testing indicates that their conventional, non-organic lines remain highly contaminated. Chlormequat is used on these crops to strengthen the stalks, making them easier to harvest, but it has been detected in over 90% of non-organic oat samples this year. Health risk: studies in 2026 continue to link chlormequat exposure to reduced fertility and altered fetal development in animal models, raising red flags for pregnant women and growing children. 2. General Mills Cheerios. The hazard: persistent, forever chemical, TFA, and glyphosate residues. Cheerios is arguably the most iconic healthy cereal in the world, often recommended by pediatricians as a first solid food. However, 2026 reports from European and North American labs have found that the wheat and oats used in Cheerios are increasingly contaminated with TFA. This chemical is a breakdown product of certain pesticides that does not degrade in the environment, leading to bioaccumulation in the human body. Why it's flagged? Because Cheerios is a staple for toddlers, the concentration to body weight ratio makes even low levels of these pesticides a significant neurological concern. 3. Beechnut Oatmeal, baby cereal. The hazard: pesticide residues in infant-specific products. It is a common misconception that baby food is subject to stricter pesticide limits than adult food. In reality, 2026 independent testing found that Beechnut's conventional oatmeal contained higher than average levels of glyphosate. While the brand offers organic alternatives that test clean, the conventional version sold at a lower price point remains a risk for low-income families. The concern: infants are in a critical window of neurological development. Even trace amounts of endocrine-disrupting pesticides can have outsized effects on long-term health. 4. Cashew, certain whole grain blends. The hazard: complex ingredient lists leading to pesticide cocktails. Cashew positions itself as a premium, health-conscious brand, but because many of their cereals utilize a diverse 7-grain blend, they often inherit the pesticide profiles of multiple different crops. In 2026, samples of Cashew's non-organic blends showed a cocktail effect, where no single pesticide exceeded legal limits, but the combined presence of 6 or more different fungicides and herbicides created a synergistic toxicity. The shift: scientists are now warning that legal levels of individual chemicals don't account for how these toxins interact once they enter the human gut. 5. Post-honey bunches of oats. The hazard: high levels of fungicides and synthetic herbicides. While marketed for its heart-healthy whole grains, this brand has been flagged in 2026 for residues of tebuconazole, a fungicide used widely on wheat. This chemical is classified as a possible endocrine disruptor. A nutritional irony: the cereal is often high in added sugars, which, when combined with pesticide exposure, can exacerbate metabolic stress and inflammation in the body. 6. Nature Valley, oat-based cereals and squares. The hazard: industrial-scale pesticide application in the supply chain. Nature Valley is synonymous with the outdoors and natural living, Yet their 2026 supply chain data reveals a heavy reliance on pre-harvest desiccation. This is the practice of spraying crops with glyphosate just before harvest to dry them out faster. This results in some of the highest detectable levels of 6. Nature Valley, oat-based cereals and squares. The hazard, industrial-scale pesticide application in the supply chain. Nature Valley is synonymous with the outdoors and natural living, yet their 2026 supply chain data reveals a heavy reliance on pre-harvest desiccation. This is the practice of spraying crops with glyphosate just before harvest to dry them out faster. This results in some of the highest detectable levels of herbicides found in the cereal aisle. 7. Store-brand toasted oats, Great Value/Kroger. The hazard, lack of transparency and lower quality grain sourcing. Budget-friendly oat cereals from major retailers like Walmart, Great Value, and Kroger are frequently flagged in 2026 for inconsistent pesticide levels. Because these retailers source grain from various global suppliers to keep prices low, the pesticide regulations vary wildly, often resulting in hot spots of high chemical concentrations in certain batches. 8. Kellogg's Special K. The hazard, high residues of TFA in wheat-heavy formulas. Special K is marketed toward weight management and wellness, but its wheat-based flakes have shown some of the highest concentrations of TFA in 2026 studies. As wheat crops are increasingly treated with PFAS-containing pesticides to combat climate-driven pests, the resulting flour carries these forever chemicals directly into the breakfast bowl. The root of the problem, why 2026 is different. You might wonder why we are hearing so much about this now. In 2026, analytical technology has reached a point where we can detect ultra-trace levels of chemicals that were previously invisible. Furthermore, the forever chemical crisis has expanded from water contamination to our food supply. Pesticides are now being designed with PFAS, per, and polyfluoroalkyl substances to make them more durable against rain. But that durability means they never leave our systems. Important note, the legal limit for pesticides is often set based on what the industry can achieve, not necessarily what is safe for human consumption over a 70-year lifespan. How to protect your family. If the staples of the American breakfast are under fire, what can you actually eat? Fortunately, the 2026 reports also highlighted several ways to bypass these toxins. Choose certified organic. This remains the single most effective way to avoid synthetic pesticides. Organic standards strictly prohibit the use of glyphosate and chlormequat. Prioritize ancient grains. Crops like quinoa, millet, and amaranth are naturally more pest-resistant and generally require fewer chemical interventions than heavily commoditized crops like wheat and oats. But look for the bio-checked, non-glyphosate seal. Some brands now undergo third-party testing specifically to prove they are glyphosate-free, even if they aren't fully organic. Diversify your breakfast. Moving away from a grain-heavy diet can reduce your cumulative exposure. Consider eggs, yogurt, or fruit-based breakfasts a few times a week.